Cassper mentioned on social media how his haters are actually doing a lot of the work for him, and he uses it as a bit of a marketing tool.
I think there's a danger in there.
See where that danger is?
Yeah, there's a danger in there where you are feeding into the negativity. But there's when you start embracing the negativity, it's going to do something to you as well.
Sure.
You become it.
But what it does to you as a person, I mean, we know, yes, Cassper can get emotional and doesn't like being attacked about not being or being whack or you're doing this or you're doing that. When people disagree with him, he hasn't taken it quiet. And at some point you have to say, you've amassed so much success from what you've done. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the most successful rapper we've ever seen in South African history. Yeah. So if you're sitting at the top, you shouldn't worry. At some point,
100%.
At some point, you have to let that energy go and say, your haters are your permanent haters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People who are hating you, they're never going to like you. So it's too late for you to convert people. Maybe you can win in new people, but the people that hate you, especially if maybe they've chosen their camp or whatever, you know what I'm saying? There's no reason for you to go toe-to-toe with someone. If I know this guy doesn't like me, there's no reason for me to argue with you every day. But
it's almost as if you're turning your back on your blessings. Because, I mean, there's so much positivity to focus on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then now we are busy there
feeding
talking
the machine.
about haters. Come on.
What up, though? Welcome to another hot episode of the POPcast. My name is Miss Cosmo, as usual, every single week. You know what it is. Rolling with my homie, Moochie.
Moochie for one, baby. Please say the baby. We back again. Where we at this week? Coolie Channel Studios.
Yes, we're all the way out here at the Coolie Channel Studios. Big ups to the guys for the production that they've provided for us today. The guys are doing a lot of stuff, so come through and check them out. As you know, we are trying to support Black businesses and people who are doing big things. We also have our brother here,
what's up, guys?
Mr. C Live. How you doing?
I'm easy. Yourself?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much for joining us.
Finally.
Yeah. Yo, we've been trying to get C Live. He's just a busy guy.
Yeah,
Yo.
I felt like I was being a diva. I was like, no, man, I feel like I need to talk to Miss Cosmo because I've been canceling all these,
Yeah.
But thank goodness you're a great person.
Yeah, no, and I've been patient. You know, there's a reason we needed to bring you in. But yeah, man, of course, there's been a lot that's been happening this past week, and we're going to jump straight into it. The DSTV Content Creator Awards happened this past weekend. As we had mentioned, we were nominated for Podcast of the Year. Unfortunately, we didn't take that one home, so a big ups to the winners, Mpumi Lidwaba and Brandon, yes, her husband. Our Love Journey were the winners for this year's Podcast of the Year for the Content Creators Awards. And it was a really great experience. I think the awards were a good idea. Everybody who was out there was excited to be there, especially because most of the nominees were just like waiting to see that recognition and obviously being on that stage. Obviously, I mean, there was a little bit of a situations about how we felt about the first execution, but happy to have been celebrated nonetheless. Sipo?
Absolutely. I mean, shout out to DSTV Content Creator Awards and all the sponsors that put in the efforts and all the teams that worked very hard. The production of it and the effort around was evident to be seen at the venue. Of course, everything starts off small. It's the first ever one, but I hope it grows in stature and encourages a lot of content creators out there to be seen, be heard on these big stages, our own stages as content creators. Shout out all the subscribers, guys liking and commenting for getting us recognized. We definitely appreciate all that. Of course, there can only be one winner. It's awards. And every time there's one winner, it means the ones that didn't win can either be sometimes sad, sometimes feel like they were done hard by. And there were those conversations, and they're natural to have. People are going to feel a certain way if they don't win. I'm sure you'll feel a certain way. Maybe your favorite podcast is either doesn't win or doesn't get nominated. There's a lot that can be said about how the handling of the show went. Some of it is, and I think I reserve a lot of criticism for them. I've said a lot, and I feel like I want them to get better, and I want the categories to grow, and I want more people to be given a chance. And I feel like they need to grow to one of those where maybe there's like 7 and 8 in each categories, and the categories themselves allow for people, a lot of subcategories to be invited. Even in the podcast, there's many different types of podcasts, and I feel like putting them up in genres makes it more appealing for people to get involved, because you can't just say, what's the best podcast? Then you can say, what's the worst podcast?
Because we all talk about different stuff.
Absolutely. So I think putting them in genres, for example, the automotive genre, that makes sense. And most of these guys create content on Instagram or on YouTube and actually have podcasts themselves. So there's that. So I just feel like I hope they grow. I hope they get more involved with people who are actually content creators to sit on those boards and be able to advise those guys. This is how you move. This is how you don't move. Because as content creators, we're usually like, we're not industry, but now there's these awards that are kind of make us as if we're close to the industry.
Yeah.
And maybe they may create a little bit of friction. Now we start treating each other and we're also like TV guys or radio guys in terms of like how we go head to head. And like now, because one thing it mustn't kill is collaboration. That's the power of content online. Silab, how do you feel about the awards?
Look, I didn't even hear a thing about the awards.
That's
I mean,
problem.
the irony of it is that it's for social media, and yet I didn't hear a thing.
Yeah.
I saw it this morning. I saw something this morning. I was like, oh, my boy Lemmy Local won something.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, that was a bit of a, you know, something to red flag in a way. You know, I think there should have been more noise about it. You know?
Definitely. And that comes from the content creators themselves. You see, if you
100%.
invite more and put more of them in the pool, more of them speak about it. And just like their content trends, then the awards themselves by an extension get to trend.
But as we said, I mean, it's baby steps. It's, you know.
But shout out to Lemmy, like you said, he won Content Creator of the Year. Shout out to my boy Donovan Goliath. He won the best how to or how I shot it, where it just shows how you made a piece of content that did very well. Shout out to Lesego, Coconut Kells.
Yeah, Coconut Kells. Her acceptance speech was also really dope. Because she was like, you guys didn't come here to see Lesego, so then Coconut Kells then came out. She said, oh, thank you to Helen Zilla and John.
She deserves it.
Yeah, so big ups to Lesego, obviously, for winning that. There were a number of different winners, obviously. Nadia Jafta won 3 awards as well. Yeah. So big celebrations all round. I'm also on the same breath with regards to just the buzz was slightly disappointing, especially because it is Content Creator Awards. There should have been more content creation around the buzz for the awards.
100%.
That for me was a little bit of a shocker. But I mean, like I said, we saw it is the first one, so we're just hoping they're going to build from here.
You know, my one question though is just that TV, traditional TV, linear TV versus social media, those two industries are at odds with each other. You know what I mean? Because TV wants viewership and social media is just not about being on TV. You know what I mean? So, I mean, how do you merge those two together and create a bit of a synergy?
It's very, very tricky. I think that's what's the biggest challenge is gonna be about starting. Because it's very easy, like I said, when people are like, let's start it, and then they get the sponsors and then they're off, they hit the ground running. But how they maintain that and how they actually go back and be like, we must make sure that we don't turn into like the DSTV awards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they have DSTV in front of them, but they're supposed to be the Content Creator Award.
Yeah.
So that should be the thing that we actually focus on. And they should be about bringing content creators together, not creating some new infighting thing where content creators now feel like, I'm better than you, or I'm doing, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody has different numbers, everyone has different genres, we cater different markets. It doesn't matter if you get 100 views or 100 million, you know what I'm saying? As long as you make content for your own audience, that's good enough.
Yeah.
And even those people need to be invited into those rooms, whether they're nominated or not. There needs to be an open door
or
for content
perhaps we
creators.
need social media content awards by social media creators.
Okay, yeah. I think it's always about somebody starting. You know what I mean? And I think that's the difficulty is that we can have all these great ideas, but if somebody actually, follows through and executes, that's where we'll be able to, kind of critique it and then say, okay, you can get better by doing this, that, and the next thing. What I did appreciate though, was what we had spoken about when they first announced the awards was we hope that they've got actual content creators who are on stage and not necessarily just like random celebrities who are going to come on stage. So I appreciated the fact that they involved content creators with presenting awards, with performing, with being on that stage. So that
And
was
honestly,
a good point.
I would also say that content creators who've never touched TV, who've never been celebrities, who are known just for content creation, are the way that I should be focusing from. Because now there's a big celebrity culture who've also become content creators. And it seems like they might get the one who
By
get more
virtue
support
of-
because they're already known everywhere around the country,
exactly.
and now they've started, let's say, their
They're
own
already 5
podcast.
steps ahead.
Then it's like, if I was a known television personality and I have my own podcast, it's like
It'll be easy.
It's easy. It's like, support the guy from television now as a podcast. So my numbers get to grow and I get to have more visibility. But like, content is not the thing that gave me that
Categories need to
visibility.
be
There's people who are from the
separated
dirt with content, who started it, and now they've built something
no
great for their life.
resources.
Those are the people that need to be highlighted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If we start saying that our known celebrities are in nomination with the guy who's just at the hood, but he's got the numbers and he's been pushing on his phone, then that disconnect already discourages people at the crib. Like, why should I go head to head with actual TV people?
Yeah, that's true.
So how was it done? I mean, was it according to numbers? Did the people win according to numbers, or the quality
You
of
really,
the podcast?
honestly, you couldn't tell from the nominations. It's very, very difficult.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's so easy to push up your numbers. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You can just
It is,
some dumb
and,
shit.
and you know what? I think that's also a pointer that a lot of people also need to check out, because you don't really know who the voting panel is. Number one, there was some that could have been voted for by the public, and then there were some awards that needed to be voted for by the panel. So we didn't really know who the panel was that was voting for some of the
because
nominations.
you guys are gonna drag them.
I
That's
mean,
up.
no, but generally speaking, you don't know who the panel is with any award
yeah,
show.
I guess.
Whether it's the SAMAs, whether it's the DSTV Awards, whether it's the Hip Hop Awards,
Yeah.
whatever the case is, you don't know who the panel is. So I don't know what they were judging it on, and I think that's also something that needs to be communicated
Clearly,
to people who are submitting for these awards. But it is also kind of difficult because sometimes you'll find somebody who's got really great content, but maybe they don't have really big numbers. So then you'll, as a person who's judging, are you going to sit back and be like, okay, cool, they're funny, but they're not resonating because their numbers aren't so high. So are you at some point, numbers are going to be a factor.
Yeah.
And
You know,
also, I'll say that, look, sometimes you can tell when some rooms are lacking black voices. Let's just keep it 100. You know what I'm saying? You can just tell. But I say, if we're all going to come together and meet in the middle, and not trying to have this who's allowed and who's not allowed to speak, and who's been given an opportunity, what privilege. I'm not going to get into all that, but I'm just saying it's obvious to see from the outside personally. And I'll say these brands must have the same energy when content creators come knocking on their doors.
Yeah.
Just because
100%.
some of them may not have that pull to get into corporate, or they don't know who to call at DSTV.
But I think
it's DSTV.
this is what's gonna help do that.
Absolutely. And
You
I
know
hope
what I
that's the
That
effect of it.
validation.
Those brands that weren't giving content creators the coins now can look at it and say, okay, maybe we need to invest more. And if that's what it actually does, then going forward, it's a positive thing. It mustn't be about exclusion. It's about how much more people can we include.
Yeah, 100%. But you know what? Shout out to them for starting. You
Sure,
know,
sure.
Yeah.
like we mentioned, a really great idea. I think the content creators themselves were really excited to be out there, really excited to be recognized. So that in itself was, shout outs to them. And it's teething issues. Hopefully they'll fix it, and they'll take the reviews from the various people who've spoken about it, and hopefully make it better for next year. But yeah, man, big ups to all the winners. And we're hoping to see this thing, take it to the top next year. All right, somebody else who is mentioning how things are done on social media, whether it works for him, whether it doesn't work for him. Cassper mentioned on social media how his haters are actually doing a lot of the work for him, and he uses it as a bit of a marketing tool. So do you think it's actually a good idea for people to actually leverage on some of the negative, even though it's not really positive news, but you're taking it and running with it?
Of course, I definitely think so. But I think there's a danger in there.
See where the danger is?
Yeah, there's a danger in there where you are feeding into the negativity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's what Casper's doing. You know what I mean? I don't know him like that. But there's when you start embracing the negativity, it's going to do something to you as well.
Sure.
You become it. You become it. You know what I mean? And then you sit there and say, why do people hate me at some point? You know what I mean? Meanwhile, you've been feeding into the stuff, I know a whole lot of artists who don't feed into negativity, and they doing just fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're doing just fine. Maybe it's something that you tell yourself. I've struggled with this for the longest time. Hey, the haters, they thought we couldn't do it. You know what I mean? I'm not about that talk. I hate it. I really, really hate it, despise it. You know what I mean? But I guess it depends on your character. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying for me, it doesn't work.
Absolutely. I mean, do the haters fuel into the machine of his marketing? Sure, in terms of like numbers. Whether you're looking at positive or negative, you can say, yeah, I've got things to release. People keep talking about me. Brands like people that are being spoken about all the time.
Talkability.
He's on top 10 most spoken about every single year on social media. So when they're trying to throw money to somebody who's going to keep them in the news, I guess on black and white numbers, you can say that. But what it does to you as a person, I mean, we know, yes, Cassper can get emotional and doesn't like being attacked about not being or being whack, or you're doing this or you're doing that. When people disagree with him, he doesn't take it quietly. He wants to prove them wrong. And
No, he doesn't.
You know what I'm saying?
He doesn't.
Yeah?
No, he doesn't. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, he doesn't take that very well, the criticism. And at some point you have to say, you've amassed so much success from what you've done. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the most successful rapper we've ever seen in South African history. Yeah. So if you're sitting at the top, you shouldn't worry. At some point,
100%.
At some point, you have to let that energy go and say, your haters are your permanent haters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People who are hating you, they're never going to like you. So it's too late for you to convert people. maybe you can win in new people, but the people that hate you, especially if maybe they've chosen their camp or whatever, you know what I'm saying? There's no reason for you to go toe to toe with someone. If I know this guy doesn't like me, there's no reason for me to argue with you every day. But when
it's almost
you
as
like
if
me?
you're turning your back on your blessings. Because I mean, there's so much positivity to focus on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then now we are busy there
Feeding the
talking about
machine.
haters. Come on.
It's tricky, this thing, but it works and it also doesn't work. And that's the thing. So I think it is just about like a thin line and figuring out when it works and when you need to feed into it and when you don't. I mean, if you look at, for instance, like now, what's busy going off with the Kardashians and how the Kardashians have literally built their entire career just around like the negative publicity.
Yeah.
But Kris Jenner sees it and she's like, you know what? We can make a diamond out of this thing. Does it really work? Not too sure, because now the whole world is basically judging them and be like, but this lady is actually abusing her children, because how are you telling your child to go and reshoot a sex
What
tape?
was that about?
I mean, go reshoot a sex tape so you can take it to the top. And I was actually seeing, I
I'm
saw,
available.
I saw a clip of Ray J and his family when they were on Wendy Williams, like some years back, because Wendy Williams was just like, but how are you allowing your son to, you know, be on this sex tape? And obviously it's like a bad vibe for you, for your PR and your social media. And then she's like, yeah, but we didn't use it to our advantage. Figure it out. After the sex tape dropped, who was on the cover of Playboy? Who was then on like a cutout or whatever? It was Kim. And so Kris understands how to use the negative to work for her family. And I think this is maybe the same type of thinking
100%.
that Cassper's kind of using for this one, to be like, hey man,
but
you know what, they can work in my direction or work in
But
my
my
favor.
issue there is just that I don't know with Kris Jenner and the Kardashians if they embraced it vocally and said, hey, the haters, therefore, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As opposed to just keeping quiet and running with it. You know, I mean, it's after the fact. I mean, the tape is out, let's run. We're not gonna say, hey, we're embracing this thing.
Oh,
but
as
you
in
wanna
like
do it.
outright like
Do
mentioning
it,
it.
do
I hear
it.
you.
That's what I'm saying already. That's the trick where you see when you look at it in Hollywood situation, especially now if you look at the Kardashians, it's a family that gets attacked all the time. You don't have talent, you're hoes, you're this, it's slut shame, everything that you can imagine.
Yeah.
But if you go into the social media feed,
clean.
you'll never find them
Clean.
interacting with the single person that's calling them any name.
Yes.
They hate, it's there, they recognize it. Maybe every now and then they'll bring it in a big interview, like when the cover of Vogue, and then they'll give an exclusive about, you know what, sometimes people attack us, but then we just let it slide. That's where you get to control the narrative. If Cassper, if he
100%.
only, for example, because this tweet is coming from him about that, if you only embrace the positive, that's all people are ever going to see.
100%.
Yes.
Eventually, because you retweet the negative, you bring it up, you
I don't
or you
see it
push
ending
back
well.
and say, somebody said what I did was whack, fuck that, I think it was the best. Then we know that it's touching you
It's
immediately.
touching you.
And how about we know that you have a problem with being criticized on whatever level, whether it's true or whether people are being unfair sometimes because they generally don't like you. If you start going online every day and you only dealt with positive, every time you spoke, he only dealt with the positive things on it. All we'd see on his timeline is a guy who's living his life in a
100%.
positive way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even if those things that hurt him, if he dealt with that like privately and say, oh, nah, because now it's like people only poke at you on social media because they're gonna get a reaction. Even when people don't like you, sometimes it's your biggest fan saying you whack because they just so desperately want you to interact with them. But they're not thinking at home, thinking about how much something. I've literally met somebody who's done that, for example, to me. Someone was trying to get my attention about something.
Yeah.
And the DM goes somewhere else. And I realized I didn't see the DM that this person was like sending
listen to
love.
my
Yeah,
tape
what
after
is it?
that.
Please, here's my link, here's my music.
So it's just one guy, but after a while, and I realized it a long time ago, I saw now he started attacking me live online.
Yeah.
He stopped with those love DMs and sending love. Now he started attacking me about stuff. And I kept wondering because he kept popping up in my, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Also, what did I do to him? And I go click. And sometimes when you click messages, then you see messages.
You see the whole thing.
And then I saw how much love this guy was sending me. And I realized he got so sick. He's like, fuck this guy.
He needs a hug.
Yeah.
That's all he
He's
needs,
like,
a
I've
hug.
been trying so hard to get this guy's attention. And a lot of people do that.
Oh,
They go
man.
from being a fan of yours.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just annoy people. They go from
Yeah.
liking you and they're like, actually, you just bore me now.
Yeah, man. So
You know
this
what I'm
thing
saying?
with Cassper, I don't see it ending well. I really, I mean, at my advanced age, I've seen such happen. And shout out to him for making it
points-
work, but at some point, it means this thing is touching him.
At some point,
Yeah.
you're in your 30, you're a father, you're a businessman, focus on those things. Can't be talking
There's
about
so
haters
much
forever.
that's going. There's so
You're a
much
grown
good
ass
that's
man
happening
now.
for this guy.
Yeah,
now.
there's so
You're
much
a grown
great.
ass man. Focus on your family.
Focus on the
Focus on your
good,
business.
man.
Leave this thing about haters now. That thing is for the birds. It's for young kids.
But it's his path. He will, he will
One day,
go
I
the
guess.
journey as he should.
Yeah, man. Somebody who is focusing on the positive and trying to see how he can get himself into different spaces is Nasty C. Right now, he is out in LA. He's trying to, focus on getting the music out there, working on upcoming artists, working with upcoming artists in LA to kind of get himself, solidified in the States.
Yeah.
We all know that this is a journey that he's always trying to get himself in. And he recognizes that, right here, he's a big guy, but in the States, he's not really known. And he's trying to work with some people who are out there as well.
Yeah.
And he did mention something about sometimes maybe the label might be overthinking certain things because he's had conversations with them about actually connecting him with different artists who are in the States. And do you think it's a good thing that he's actually just trying to get himself out there and saying, yo, I'm gonna do these remixes, I'm gonna put myself out there, I'm gonna, drop a remix and see where I land?
Absolutely, man. Shout out to Nasty C. That boy's got a solid head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
I watched that clip where he was talking about that, and I mean, he has no shame in saying, well, in LA, I'm an up and coming artist. In my own country, I'm big, but here,
nobody knows
I
me,
have to humble myself. So if you guys want to work, hit me up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just that on its own is, that boy knows how to make social media work for him. I absolutely have so much respect for Nasty C.
Yeah.
Definitely, I feel like his moves are always in a positive direction. And he's always, like you said, he's made it very clear that he wants to create a lot of traction for himself on an international stage, especially in America. We've seen his collaborations with T.I. and those other guys in Atlanta. I forget the names.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Ari Lennox, for example, as well.
French Montana, remember that one? Yeah.
And for him signing to Def Jam was like, there's a clear picture of where he wants to land.
Yeah.
What he's doing and the humility you have to do when you go to America now and realize, okay, now here I'm not Nasty C, I'm just, what's his real name? Tabo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just Tibos, you know what I'm saying? So I must introduce them.
His name's not Tabo.
I know it's not,
his name
but...
is David
Simple.
yes. Yeah.
So
Simple.
that's that. But I'll tell you the value of trying to get yourself known on the international stage and how it works. You can go back, for example, let's move away from hip hop or music and go to Trevor Noah. When Trevor Noah was trying to get noticed on American stages, first of all, as a working comedian, you must grind out the comedy studio, the comedy bars.
The entire circuit.
You have to do that circuit to a bone for you to get the respect of...
Black Coffee did the same thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Trevor Noah left South Africa after having released 3 spectacular specials. You know what I'm saying? He was a superstar here. He had reached the ceiling. There was nothing else left for him. He had every major deal you could imagine. To us, he was the biggest comedian we've ever seen, right? And then he wanted to hit the Europe scene, especially the London scene. And he's like, I used to wake up in the morning, go do a breakfast set. After doing a breakfast set, I would do a lunch set. After doing a lunch set, I would do an afternoon set. I'd go home, I'd shower, and then I'd do 4 more evening sets. And I'm back home. I did this every single day for a year. For him to get recognized by Americans now to be able to do tours that side. That's how you pick up the eyes of Jon Stewart. Because the guys that you're meeting there, some of them are big writers in American studios. They also humble themselves and do the circuit, especially if you're going to get re-inspired for new material. So what Nasty C is doing is similar to that. He understands that those people don't know him, but to go and touch base and be in those bars and
take a month out of your time.
Absolutely. And even use your own money and say, I'm not getting booked out here, but there's a reason why I've made all this money back home. So I can go out there, use it to get myself, to elevate myself to another level.
Vision, man.
Yeah.
So the vision is beautiful, and I really hope it works out for him.
Yeah. I mean, the ability to be able to humble yourself and start from scratch, so to speak, in a different country, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's
It
a
is.
huge one.
But it definitely is about, kind of reinvesting back in yourself. Like you're saying, like you can make the money back at home. You then take the time out to then say, okay, what's a quiet time here in South Africa? Quiet time maybe when my winter, June, July. Then you go, because that side, that's when it's summertime. That's when you'll be engaging and meeting new people, getting yourself out there, just kind of getting that appreciation in a different space.
100%.
I do feel like he was being held back a little bit because, I mean, signing with a label will give you certain restrictions. And I think
100%.
for him, he was kind of expecting them to kind of open those doors for him. And he's like, you know what, you guys aren't really pushing the way I want you to push, which is fine because the label's job is to kind of think strategically.
Yeah.
And I think for them, they're thinking too much about the strategy as opposed to let's get this guy out there and see what he wants
It's
to
all
do.
that red tape.
And I appreciate the fact that he's just like, you know what, the label will be there when I need them, when I need to release the music.
Yeah.
Right now, I need to interact, I need to engage, I need to get myself in spaces, which is exactly what he did. Even him dropping that remix or doing his own freestyle on Drake's track, I think was dope because now he's getting attention from people who didn't really pay attention to him in the beginning.
Oh, he's back to doing that now?
Yeah, I think he's back to doing freestyles now, which
Humility,
is
man.
awesome.
Shout out.
You know?
Shout out.
So any artist right now, if you trying to get yourself into a different space, take a page out of this book and see where you land, because you need to literally start from the bottom again if you want to take it to the top.
Sometimes in every industry, in life in general, you have to take a step back and look at the game or whatever industry you're in from the eyes of a child.
Yeah.
And be excited again about it and humble yourself and play with other kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just start from scratch.
And just do it for, again, maybe you have to constantly find your passion all over again.
Yeah.
Because we work every day, it becomes about money, it becomes
Yeah.
about survival, it becomes about, and if you're doing these things that require creativity, especially maybe in the entertainment space, sometimes you have to step back and be like, when I started, I was doing these things for passion, I was very in love with the industry and all that, but now maybe my eyes have been blurred with the business side of it.
Yeah.
So it's very important to, you said, take a step back.
It's important to crush that
and
ego.
just to be like, where do I want to place myself here? Am I having
Yeah.
fun? What do I do to rediscover? Am I in tune with what's actually going on right now in where the industry is moving? Sometimes you have the tunnel vision and you can't
Yeah.
see what's going on.
It takes a lot of introspection to do something like that. You know what I mean? And as I said before, you have to crush that ego so you can just look at your position in the game and where you want to go. Ego pansy. You know what I mean? Get to work.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, so something else that we have been very excited to be talking about here on the POPcast every week. As we mentioned, we're going to be reviewing each episode. And episode 3 finally dropped of Rings of Power this past Friday. And especially after the space that we had on Thursday, a lot of the viewers have obviously had the comments that they needed to share.
Yeah.
And please do join us on our next space again next week Thursday, this week Thursday rather, with regards to last week's episode, and kind of engage us and speak to us about how you feel about episode 3. So now that it's out, there's been a lot of feelings changed, because that's always what happens, especially when there's a new show that comes out, because the first episode will leave you feeling some type of way, but once you engage in it and you kind of invest yourself into the episodes, you start feeling a little bit different. And I think that's what is happening online as well. Feelings are starting to change. People are settling into the episodes now. They're starting to understand where the story is kind of going, and I think there's a lot more positivity coming out this week as opposed to what was happening last week. And if you watch the episode, you will see with episode 3 we're starting to see the story kind of taking shape. Galadriel has been saved from the water. She had been saved by the Numenors, who are now kind of giving us a little bit of direction as to who she needs to save, and where the story arc is kind of creating itself with Margoth, and where basically we need to kind of save at the end of the series. So I'm loving how it's kind of starting to take shape, and we're starting to get a little bit more invested. I am a little bit worried about it being only 7 episodes, because I'm just worried about, like, are we going to get to the end, or are they going to leave us hanging? But I mean, with 5 seasons that are going to be budgeted for, obviously they're going to leave us at a bit of an arc. But it's growing nicely.
Okay.
Absolutely, man. I'm loving the series now. 3rd episode now, I feel like I'm getting into the weeds now. You know what I'm saying? Those first 2, or sometimes, it's like the trying to get back into it. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of information to take in. One thing that I haven't gotten properly, again, is the names. I'm going to say that guy with the white hair, and then that other one with the black giant.
Yeah.
Then that one was wearing the brown, sandals. That's how I'm describing the guys. And I know you guys at home, don't play with me. I know you guys don't know half the names either. We're going to learn their names together. It takes a while before we start saying Galadriel, and then Nimur, and
but I mean, Noni, at least, Ms. Cosmo, at least spoiler alert, because I haven't started, you know what I mean?
Nah, I won't give. All I can tell you, you watched Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So
Big
this takes part thousands of years before. But the storyline starts from trying to find. The Lord of the Rings was about trying to defeat that that guy who
Sauron.
Saruman.
Sauron.
Yeah, it was about them trying to defeat that guy.
Yeah.
So now we're learning the origins of how the rings were even created way before, and how they were distributed. Because we caught it from the fact where these guys had the ring for thousands of years, and now the ring was taking over power. They had to go destroy it. So now we've gone back in time. So if you enjoyed that storyline, now you're going to know a little bit more about that entire community.
I'm not sure if I'm ready for that kind of commitment, man. That's an intense one. I mean, because once you get into something like that, it's like it's gone.
But that's what they want. They want you to be committed. That's the whole point of it being a series now. It's no longer just the movies.
But I will say that one interesting storyline that I've learned, I think when we first saw about the half-wits,
Yeah.
when they were at in their own community. They seemed like though everyone was nice
Yeah.
and though they had this big community life going on. But now when the stranger has come in and it's kind
Yeah.
of dividing them because that one daughter is now
Yeah.
believes in the stranger and she feels
Yeah.
like she really needs to help him.
Yeah.
She doesn't know why, but she feels like this guy is like the one.
Yeah.
That she needs to like almost betray her own village
Yeah.
to help. And in that doing, we see that her dad has had an injury.
Yeah.
And how these guys actually operate as a community is like if you're sick or if you've broken a leg
Yeah.
or whatever, they just leave you. It's like, sort yourself
Yeah.
out. Here we went.
Yeah.
So if you've got any sort of ailment or whatever, nobody's going to help you. They kind of move forward without you and they're kind of ostracizing the community. So what we thought were guys that were tight click were realizing what it's actually every man for himself. And how they move forward. So I'm interested to see a little bit more about the halfway and other storylines that are busy developing. But yeah, very, very dope so far.
It is very. I'm actually very interested to see how the storyline is going to unfold, especially with Nori and the stranger, like you're mentioning, because I think she's definitely onto something with regards to this person, and I think he is somehow connected to Margot. But we're not really sure. A spoiler alert for you because you haven't watched.
No, like,
but the people who have watched, because the episode dropped on Friday, you will see that there is something specific about him, because not many people, as they mentioned in this episode, not many people are dropped from a star. And they mention as well that a lot of people have become, are humans that become stars, but not the other way around. So there's a specific reason why he dropped specifically there. And that's why she also feels that she's special and why she needs to help him. And I think it's going to help them in the end with regards to connecting them to Margot and how the rings are created. So the different storylines that are actually coming out, I think are going to obviously merge at some point, which is usually how these story arcs are created. And I'm interested to see how they're all going to kind of collaborate towards the end of the series. So,
interesting to see how it's all unfolding. But like Nani just said, please join us on Thursday at 7 p.m. From the Prime Video ZA. It's at Prime Video ZA on Twitter for the space, and we'll be discussing it more. Last week, the guys came in, a lot of them gave insight, some had read the books even, so they're able to give a little bit more better background. So if you're into it and you want to debate the plots, debate the storyline, the character developments and all that, join us and let's continue that energy. Bless you. And let's continue that energy together as we go into episode 3 and as we prepare, of course, for episode 4 coming out on Friday on Prime Video.
100%. Please do join us, as Sipa had mentioned. And obviously also then please do subscribe to Prime Video and check it out as well, because I think it's going to keep on growing. It's one of those shows that you just want to watch. And I know one person had mentioned in the space last week how they were a little bit disappointed in the clothes and the costume design. And something in me tells me that it's going to get better as the stories kind of unfold, because they paid a lot of attention on the set design, and I think they are going to kind of then draw that out as time goes on. So you know what? Let's keep watching and join us again, like Sipa had mentioned, on Thursday for that space. All right.
Dessert.
Right now, though, there is something that we are kind of bringing back on the POPcast, which we haven't had in a while. It is time for our unpopular questions. So we're going to bring out the cap. And the cap is, as we mentioned, every single week when we do the unpopular questions, it is a few questions that are placed in this specific cap. And with this cap, nobody knows the questions. We're also getting them for the very first time. So our producers have put these questions together, and we're going to debate what is written on a piece of paper that we're going to bring out today. Are you ready?
You didn't tell me about this.
Don't worry. It's an oldie but a goodie. All right, so this week's question is, a feature you think is underrated?
A feature?
Anybody who's had a feature in the game, it could be anything. It doesn't have to be hip hop. It could also be amapiano, it could be house, that you think is completely underrated, but you feel like, oh, this person came in on this one.
Hip hop, I can't think of anything as yet, but there is this one amapiano song.
It's fine. Tell us.
I think it's by Satril.
Yeah.
And it features Jessica M, I think. Underrated, that one. Jeez.
Really?
Oh my gosh, her voice, so angelic. It's amazing.
Okay. Amapiano, which is good actually that you're highlighting that, because I do think last week we had spoken on the POPcast about how sometimes some of the amapiano songs are getting a little too the same, like everybody's falling into the same production, line, and we're all just like, okay, well, we're not really hearing a little bit of a difference. So it's dope that you're mentioning that, because now we can actually go out there and check it out, because there might be something special about Jessica M that you're mentioning that we need to kind of say.
I'm trying to think of one that is actually. I mean, I recently, and I don't know if this is making. It's a bunch of features now, actually. But I know who released that song Zonke.
Yeah.
Who's the guy with the colorful hair?
Phantom Steez.
Phantom Steez.
Yeah.
And I thought like when he first dropped the first what you call this, the first song before the remix, I thought that was a very fresh dance track to it. He's a very energetic guy.
Yeah.
And I felt like that didn't get a lot of traction. And I was thinking, this guy, maybe people they're still starting to know him. He's now released a remix with a bunch of other features like AKA, Nadia.
I think so, if I'm not mistaken.
I know it has a bunch. Probably has like 5-6 features.
There's Java, there's Nadia, there's AKA. There's also outside of Phantom Steez, there's one other person who's on there. I'll check for you now.
Who did you say? You said it's Java, Nadia,
AKA.
AKA.
Yeah.
Where did I see Satchel?
No.
Satchel was on a different song.
Is it different?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think that jam is maybe even better than the original. And I feel like he's putting in a lot of work, and I hope he gets a lot more traction because I don't think it's doing, especially because hip hop is
Look, I think he's coming into himself. If that's how you put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of his stature in the game, the Costa Titch thing, you know what I mean. And I think he needs to step out of that shadow and then start.
Yeah.
But I like what Costa Titch has done for him. You know what I mean? It sort of carried him under him. And
I mean, they worked with each other for a lot of songs.
Yeah.
And what I appreciate is the fact that it's one of those things like, okay, we're putting the whole gang on. Costa was the front runner, and now they're like, okay, let's take it back. Who else in the team can we kind of work with? And that's why the support is also coming through with Phantom Steez.
Yeah.
And we all know Phantom Steez obviously was helping Costa a little bit with some of the Zulu writing, obviously.
Really?
Yeah.
I love their sound. I'm not gonna lie, that
it's
Trapiano
dope.
sound.
Yeah, it's dope. So shout outs to Phantom Steez and the guys. That remix is fire.
Who's the producer that they have?
Must Be Dubs.
Must Be Dubs.
Yeah. I love that sound.
Yeah.
Man. Like
Must Be Dubs does that with a lot of artists. I mean, he does that even with Major Steez. So you can see like that's his pocket. Like that's where he sits.
I love that sound.
Very clean.
Keep working at home.
For me, my underrated feature, obviously, always gonna rep the ladies. Boozy Lee on Short Boy.
Oh my goodness.
I think she killed
so
everybody on that song. And you can repeat it if you need to hear it again. Boozy Lee, when she came through on that, number one, she was the front runner. She was just murdering that verse. And I think it even got to a point where people were sitting back like, yo, she murdered it. And I need people to pay attention to her because I think she's going to be that one girl that you need to have on some of your tracks. She's got a very big career ahead of her. And I think we just need to, give her a little bit of shine, a little bit of energy. But shout out.
Isn't she the one on this track that we're trying to figure out on Zonke remix? Isn't she there as well? I think she's in the video.
Okay.
Lee. I think she's she might be the person I'm forgetting.
I know she hangs. She works with the guys quite often. Yeah. So it could be. Yeah.
I think it is her because I'm trying to remember the video. When I heard the song for the first time, just trying to remember the faces on the video, and I think it might be her. But also on that Showboy track, you're absolutely right.
I need to take a listen. I've never heard.
She's very, very, and she sets the tone from that entire song in Alifela, like a repetitive scream of what do you call this chorus, but the chorus is not like the core of the song. It's one of those like verse laden songs from start to beginning, and she sets the tone right at the beginning of the track, and I think it's very, very dope. I think DJ should take advantage of that and just play her part at the beginning because the song is too long. Just skim that thing halfway, mix her out, but give her that shine.
There's a huge insurgence of new ladies in the game, and they're all sounding nice.
Boozy Lee is one to watch. I'm telling you now, she is fire. I'm even gonna tweet it. Like I think she's gonna take it to the top.
Oh wow, there's a song I just remembered from that same clique, Phantom Steez.
Yeah.
I think the song is called Danke Zalo 2.0. There's that first lady that does that starts rapping on that joint.
I think it's her.
I don't know who it is.
It might actually be her.
Okay.
Danke Zalo 2.0. My God, what a song. I mean, I saw DJ Puffy from Barbados, I think.
Yeah.
World champ, 3-style champ. He dropped that joint and he was going crazy over it. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh wow, that's us.
Yeah, Shampuru, shout out.
Yes, that's the guy.
It's Shampuru's track.
Yes.
He does the Danko Zalo thing quite often.
Dope joint.
Yeah, man.
We must check actually if Boozy Lee's got some singles coming out that we haven't even caught wave of. And
please,
maybe,
let's give her
speak
attention
on that in the next episode.
Brilliant.
So we're gonna bring her to the forefront for you guys because we've spoken enough about her now.
Yeah.
And if you don't know at home, first of all, go search for yourself. You can start with Showboy by Venom and Shishiliza and take it from there.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so getting into the music, Flaming Hot, Flaming Not, some music that had dropped this past week. And again, my girl is shining on this one. Mash Beats Never Ride remix.
Yes.
Boozy Lee is on there as well, also taking it all the way to the top. But there's a whole host of rappers who are just coming through with the vibes. Youngster CPT, I think, is on this. Java, he found Saudi. Wherever you found Saudi, shout out to you, Mash Beats, because you brought him out of the woodworks and you said, make sure you get the work in. So I love what they did with the remix on this one. Everybody came through with the
Beautiful.
vibes. Youngster CPT's verse stood out for me.
Lalela.
I won't lie. Like
Where
but
he comes in.
Yes. And also what he says.
Yes.
Like sit and listen
Yes.
to exactly what he's mentioning. It's like some of you guys are just acting like you're rappers, but you're actually not. You're here for aesthetics. I'm like, you know what? Pay attention today. But big ups to Mash Beats, man. This remix is fire. Everybody came through with the vibes. But my favorite verse for me was Youngster CPT, I have to mention.
Yeah, nobody drops the ball on
Yeah.
that one. What's that? What's the guy's name from Skanda? What's his name? Roy? Is it Roy?
Yeah, Roy.
One of my
Yeah.
faves. One of my
Yeah.
faves, man. But that entire joint, nobody. I was trying to find a favorite. I was
Yep.
like so confused. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
It
when
is.
youngster comes in, OG talk right there.
Yeah, 100%.
Youngster comes in there and I think he even makes a reference because he was on the roast panel.
Yeah.
And he says some line there where he's like, "What? But don't take me for a joke. When I roast you, it's like a real thing."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I just love that he was keeping it relevant as well. And Youngster,
Yeah.
you know, is a guy who's very audible, first of all. You have
Yeah.
to make sure that you're hearing exactly what he's saying. And it's trying to mash up his words.
Yeah.
It's very clear in everything that he's trying to
But
put
I
out.
must say, you know, speaking of the roast, I can't get over what I think was Pops who hosted it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
Where he says youngster raps like he's reading from a page on a ruler. I can't get over it every time. No, he messed up. He messed it up for me.
With the bouncing ball.
Yeah.
His cadence is kind of like, "Yeah, I'm talking to you and I'm gonna take it."
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, but it's like he has a nice low flow. So when you get into
Yeah.
him, sometimes it feels like he has that like almost disjointed kind
Yeah.
of flow.
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to like just like.
Staccato, he's got that staccato thing
Yeah.
going on. Love it.
But I
it.
love it, man. But yeah, shout out to Smash Beats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Mash
Mash
Beats.
On that jam. On the original one, he had my boy, my Glera.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tato Soul.
Shout out,
Shout
to Glera
out,
one
man.
time.
Yeah, so on the remix, Mash Beats and Never Ride, he's got Java, 25K, Lucas Raps, Woods, Tato Soul, Saudi, Maclera, Boy, Boozy Lee.
Guys, 25K though.
Oh my goodness.
25K though.
Yeah.
Like, I am such a fan. Half the time I have no idea what he's saying. But yo.
That's the Durban in you talking.
Yo.
Nah, 25 is immaculate. I can tell you somebody who hears everything that he say.
Is it?
That man, Oma super plan.
Do you know what's so crazy? Like now, because of what 25K has done, he's created like a precedent of
Yes.
rappers. And it's so
Yes.
weird because,
Yes.
well, it's not weird, but I think it's testament to his talent, is that there's so many like replicas of him coming out of Pitori who rap like him or have created the cadence that he had kind of, set the
Yes,
standard for.
yes, I
But it's
agree.
also dope because it's like now we're getting like real raps coming out
That's
and
Pitori.
we're not even like playing games anymore. So shout out to 25K for that, you know?
I love it. You're quite right, because that's one of the things that I picked up in the song as
Yeah.
well. You know, that Pitori slang is just,
Yeah.
there's so much of it in
Yeah.
there. And I was like, shout out, man. You know, I love how they're taking it further, the vernac route, you know, the guys from PTA.
Yeah.
But the rest of the country seems to be going back to the English more now. I don't know. Is it just me that's noticing
Nah,
that?
there's definitely a lot more English coming out. And 25, it was very brave for him because it's very easy to have trying to add a little bit more English because he knows Pitori also has its audience.
Yeah.
And it might be tougher for him to break out. Because I personally, for me, he had the best hip hop album. And I really love Blackie. And I know he
Yeah.
won at the Summers. And Blackie's like right there. But they're both like this, they're just different artists.
Yeah.
But both have had like really, really dope years. But
Yeah.
25K, if I have to go down the features as well,
Yeah.
the bars, the full body of work that he put out. For me, he was my favorite artist of the year. But I wasn't mad
I
at
agree.
Blackie. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But 25 is just
I mean, Pele Machiavelli, that's my
yes,
shit.
sir.
Trap jumping for me.
Wauka.
Yo,
That album had everything.
Yeah.
the entire album for me was packaged so well. You know, as a
Yeah.
DJ,
Yeah.
you understand how we go in a sequence in terms of arranging our sets.
Yeah.
That album was arranged so beautifully, man.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Definitely did the work there. Shout outs to the guys. All right, more albums that came through this week. Touchline, Before I Say More. It's more of an EP than it is an album, 6 tracks. And what I enjoy so much about Touchline is his storytelling. Like he focuses a lot on how he's going to take you through a journey. And every time you listen to his music, it's not like he's out there just to say, metaphors and punchlines. No, he's here to tell you a story and for you to kind of sit down and listen to it. So this is what I enjoyed about Before I Say More, and I do think it's a bit of a prelude to what we could be expecting in future. I think there is an album in the works as well, but big ups to the boy, man. He's always giving us really dope joints. He's also got a really awesome feature there with Stogie T. Stogie, what I'm enjoying about him right now is that he's also just, saying the guys, the kids are doing something awesome and he needs to get himself involved in that.
100%.
So go and check that tune out. He's also got a feature as well on Germander too. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But what Stogie's doing, I think the old cats also need to pay attention to say, you know what, this thing of you guys being in your head too much about, hey, I'm too OG now to be, featuring on other people's music. This is what you need to be doing. Give, pay it forward, give it back. Make sure that the kids also understand that you've got their back. So yeah, big ups.
It'd be really dope to see a lot more of the OGs bigging up the kids.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's so many guys that I always wonder where they're at. I mean, we know Proverb is idols now. he made his decisions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he's done that. But like over the years, Proverb has still put out a body of work every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Every 3 or 4 years, he's put out something for the street. But in terms of like featuring, sometimes, especially kids maybe from your own hometown.
I think it's because you lose touch. You lose touch, man. That's what happens when when you grow with age. You start playing with your age group, and then you don't get a chance to go and chill with the kids. You lose touch, and you don't know who's popping. You don't even know how to approach them anymore.
And culture shifts so quickly now.
But also, as I said before, it's the ego thing. You know what I mean? With a lot of OGs, it's the ego thing. Sometimes you just have to humble yourself and you get down there. Yo, man, I love your music. You know what I mean? Let me listen to what you know what I mean? Open yourself up to, because one thing I've realized that these kids they know who we are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sometimes I'm thinking, you even know me? They know who we are, and they just want to work. They want guidance. They really want to have their hands held, to some extent. And when we extend ourselves, we also prolong our stay in the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Stogie T, I saw him at Younger's event recently.
Yeah.
At Cotton Lounge while MT was performing. He was the OG sitting there at the back. You know what I walked? He's like, see live, and all these other guys were there around him. You know what I mean? And that was brilliant. I was like, wow, he actually comes to the club. That is so dope.
Yeah, I think it's also understanding that you need to kind of, even give that support. And I love what Young is trying to do with that as well, out at Cotton Lounge. I think he's trying to create like a space where hip hop can also live. And I think that's what he's doing on a Thursday.
Okay, I've never seen Cotton Lounge so far. It was packed.
Really?
Yeah,
and it was empty. And I think people are also forgetting how dope MT is.
Yeah.
Because
I think they're still they're remembering now.
Yeah.
MT's got a lot of features out here. I saw even you posted him the other day. Doesn't matter whether he performs any of his new features or his old material. Everything that MT does right now is still dope. But what you were saying about OGs and showing up now, for example, we mentioned Venom and Shishliza and the album, and that there's a track with Mr. Selwyn on there.
Wow, really?
And they had gotten, because their album is called Love is Pain. So they'd gone and found Mr. Selwyn and asked him to come drop like one of those DMX versus prayers right at the beginning of the album or on one of the tracks.
Because he's a pastor.
Yeah. So he did that, but while he was doing that, they were like, Mr. Selwyn was like, hey, but this track is nice. Can I also throw a verse, guys? I'm already here in the studio. You love the sermon about love that I just gave you guys. Let me just give you a verse. You'll see.
That's beautiful.
You know what I'm saying? So they were like, Mr. Sullivan wants to drop a verse. How can we say no? He's already on the track. You know what I'm saying? And then he did that, and they're like, he wrote it very quickly, 15, 20 minutes. He was ready to do it. But I mean, see, when guys that he doesn't know, but they know him obviously because he's the OG, and they call him, they're like, well, are you? Even answers, they're like, okay, cool, we've got to end with this guy. He found that respect, but it made him feel good and feel like, ish, people still remember me out here. And he's like, actually, I haven't flexed this muscle in a while. Can you guys mind? And they're like, OG, go ahead and do your thing.
Maybe I'm late in saying this, but recently there is such a great thing happening within the hip hop community that it seems like everybody's now coming together and trying to work together now. You know what I mean? And it's not in response to other genres.
It is in response to other genres.
To an extent.
I'm going to
I'm being
correct
nice.
you.
I'm being nice.
It is in response.
I didn't want to say that,
and
but
it's
okay.
fine, because it's what we've been saying. It's like, why were you guys all working in silos? Now you want to collaborate, now that things are getting tricky. This is where we should have started and where we should have continued all the way through.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, it became an ego game.
Yeah.
100%.
If everybody just does theirs a little bit more in hip hop, there's so much talent that I feel like the guys, they just do themselves a disservice when they say, I want this one, coming together, getting at the studio, and you're saying,
I can repeat is 80,000.
okay, it's real out here.
And we
It's
ain't
real
got
out
it.
here.
We ain't got it.
Oaks are coming out here. Okay. Maybe I need to.
And it'll work a
I'll
little
call
bit.
you back, my brother.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right, so we did mention another album that did drop this past week, Germander 2. Flame is somebody that we've also spoken about a couple of times on the podcast, and just a prelude to this, we had spoken about his singles that we had dropped. Now the full album is out, and he's also just coming through with the vibes. I love Flame so much. Like I'm outright going to say like I'm a big fan. You know, and this album also just kind of reiterates why I'm such a big fan, because he's so musical in the way that he puts it together, the arrangement, which is something that a lot of people, I think, have now sort of lost, because they don't realize that when it comes to an album, you need to be telling a story. There needs to be a reason why you're arranging it in a certain way so that it makes sense to the listener, why they need to then come back to hear that story or that journey that you're taking them on. And Flame does this so well in Germander 2 as well. So go through, check it out. He's got a really awesome feature with Big Hash called Outside. I love how Big Hash still kind of stays in that pocket where he'll be singing and rapping at the same time, where you're just like, okay, which direction are you taking with this one? I love Big Hash's feature, Stogie T's feature as well.
I love that song.
So go and check it out. Flame did wonders on this one.
Absolutely, man. Like you, I also have come to really, really like Flame. I think I discovered him late, but I'm definitely on board right now. And when he dropped that first single, Is It Let Me Down?
Yeah.
Before this entire project came out, I was like, cool. And he's sticking in his pocket because he has a sound.
Yeah.
Flame. Sometimes even with the beat now, I feel like I can almost tell this guy can write this beat. He's very melodic, very musical, and you can tell again somebody who's making music, understanding exactly how it goes.
Yeah.
Sometimes guys' songs are very flat. You just hear the beginning, the chorus, and then, you know what I mean? He knows how to play with words. He knows how to play with hooks and bridges.
Yeah.
He has a very clear understanding of what he's putting out together. You can hear what he's calling a lot of shots. Sometimes some people gotta get invited before a beat, he spit on it and then let it go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And you can see he even cares about the mixing and mastering. It's very hard to compliment somebody on things like that because you think everybody's doing it well.
Yeah.
But if you really, really know a little bit more, there's actually levels to how these guys can put out. You can hear something that you say, it sounds good, but it could have been mastered a little bit better. He's got that extra air to be like, he knows to take it a little bit to the next level, I believe. And I feel like, Germander 2, hoping to get more and more into the album. I hope I find a little bit more different sounds.
Yeah.
Like I said, I recognize the sound that he usually sticks to. So maybe in this album, because I know it's like 20 tracks.
No, it's not that many.
I mean, 15.
There's 13 songs.
13 tracks.
Yeah.
Hey, even 13 feels like 20 these days. I'll be dropping EPs and 7 tracks every week now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to get a full project, but yeah, I'm hoping that there's some songs in there that I hear that I can feel like, or maybe he was moving out of his comfort zone a little bit.
Shout out. I mean, as I said, for me, from the OG side of things, you know, Stogie T being featuring that one joint, you know, made me look up and take a listen, because honestly, I did not know much about Flame for the longest time. As I said off camera, you know, he came up at a time when there was a whole bunch of kids coming up. And I was like, hey, I'm tired.
It confused you, né? There was too much happening.
Yes, there's too much happening. They must fight. Whoever the winner is, I listen to it. You know? So I love that joint he did with Stogie T, man. It's exceptional.
Yeah.
It shows a whole lot of maturity as well, musically.
Yeah, and I also dig that, you know, even with both features that he's done, both for Touchline as well as for Flame, he's also staying in that, like, I'm here to kind of, you know, set the tone to say we're storytelling now. We're not here for like sparring or whatever the case may be. And I love how it was arranged so well as well. So if you listen to both features, there's a certain cadence that Stogie T has kind of placed on both features that makes you realize that he's there to kind of then say, guys, we're doing this thing back to back. We're working with each other. We're not trying to say, I came with the best verse, then I'm out. You know, he's here to say, I want to hear what the song is about. I'm here to involve myself in the song. I'm not just sending a verse and you figure out how you're going to place it in.
That.
You know what I mean?
There's a linear story
there's definitely a thinking behind it. So shout outs to both for both their projects, and, you know, go out there and check them out. And again, thank you to C Live for coming through as a guest today on the POPcast. We appreciate your time. What is it that you're working on right now that people can check out?
Whoa.
You know?
I hate that question because I literally freeze. Well, we're running a new club in Centurion, the Mansion.
Yeah, the Mansion.
Brilliant
so,
spot.
no, just give us a bit of a background around that, because I think a lot of people saw that on social media, but people are still asking questions like, is Amelia the owner? Is she a partner?
Yeah,
or what's the story?
she's the owner of the club. She's in partnership, obviously, with some people.
Yeah.
But she is part owner of the joint. It's we launched recently. It was a huge one.
Yeah.
Go and check it out. It's right near Centurion Mall on Embankment Road, I think. It's a brilliant spot, man. Brilliant spot. They got a
Nice.
huge fish tank in there. You know?
Is it on social media?
Yeah, the Mansion SA. Check
Oh,
them out on
dope.
Instagram.
Okay, cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And what are you working on for yourself? Just from
Oh
music
yeah.
or whatever.
I'm busy working
perspective?
on a podcast.
Oh, dope.
Sorry, that's not music.
No, that's fine. You can
Yeah, I'm
mention
working
it.
on a podcast. A bit of a mature conversations that we're having. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, because at my age, it can't be. You can't just be. So yeah, it's just some serious topics in there. I've shot 2 episodes already.
Oh, dope.
But Ranaga in there. We've got Caesar Alakan in there as well.
Nice.
We're gonna be shooting more. I'm hoping to have one with my to have a one-on-one with my mentor DJ Bionic.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, one of the OGs in this game. Like one of the guys you bump into, but you wouldn't know who he is, and you have to take your hat off to him and say
Yeah.
thank you. I'm here today because of him.
Oh, DJ Bionic is Bradley.
Bradley Williams.
Yeah.
So if you had watched the pop radio that we had with Sizwe Alakai, he actually mentions how he was, because Bradley was his manager when
At
he was still
Motif.
at
At
Motif.
Motif, yeah.
So that's who Bionic is, just for context. Yeah.
Legendary stuff, man. Musically, I'm trying to bring up some of the kids that keep sending me mixtapes, man. I'm trying to get my money right so I can, drive this music thing, because
Yeah.
it's quite expensive to drop music.
Yeah.
It's quite an
Yeah.
expensive exercise. So
And see, Live, you were actually one of the first DJs in South Africa to drop like a DJ track or DJ
A
music,
mixtape,
mixtapes and things like
yes,
that.
yes.
Because I know like there's this whole culture now for hip hop DJs to drop music, but
Yeah.
it was never a big thing.
It wasn't.
Back then, it was always just like the DJs just play the music and we continue with our lives. So C Live was like, no man, there's some talent out here. Let's see if we can put
drop
it
the whole
together.
mixtape.
Yeah.
The Tastemaker Volume 1
Yeah.
with Bionic. He was behind it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, hoping to bring up the game again and use what resources I have to put other kids on. There's a kid you should look out for. Let me not say kid. Killer K. Jesus boy's nice from KZN, Vernac rapper. He's a storyteller, man. I'm so enamored with his music.
Nice.
It's something else. So we're
Hey,
working on
even
something.
brought out the big English word.
No,
You
no,
know what I'm saying? Y'all go Google enamored right quick. After you, of course, like and subscribe.
Yes.
And then after that, when you log out, go Google enamored.
Yeah.
Enamored.
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 So as Muchi has said, please do continue to comment and let us know your thoughts on the episode for this week, as well as commenting on Rings of Power. We are going to be on the space this Thursday, so please do join us.
Yes, sir.
A big shout out as well to our venue, Kulichana Studios. Please come through and support the boy. If you're doing anything TV production content-wise, the guys are here. They're trying to build a lot more content from that perspective. So if maybe you're an up-and-coming writer, or maybe you're a producer, hit up the guys, see what productions they're working on. And, you could find yourself working from these studios as well. With that, we'll be back again next week. So do join us on the POPcast. Like, subscribe, comment, all the things. Don't worry, we still have real views. And what matters to Muchi.
Yes, sir. What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to What Matters to Moochie. This weekend, What Matters to Me is all you content creators out there. Now, I know there's a lot of buzz on the streets about what happened at the Content Creator Awards, the wins, the losses. We mentioned some of them in the show earlier on. But I think what I've been seeing from a lot of people is just trying to get a better understanding of exactly what we're trying to achieve here with these awards and the type of energy that we're trying to send into the content creation game. Usually content creators or the people outside of the industry, there's no awards for us, but to see them come about, we're like, it's a positive step it's a good step in the right direction. And but now we're at a point where there's going to be some frictions that are being created amongst content creators. Usually what it's supposed to be about is that you have your own platform, you create your own content, you have your audience, and you get to do whatever you want. Nobody's going to restrict you, and your numbers are your numbers. Whether you get 100 views or you get 100 million. Everybody has an audience that they cater to. Everybody is different in their own right. But now we're being categorized, and it's making people feel a little bit tense. What is the best podcast? Are the subgenres in podcast? Who is the best person to do makeup? Who does the eyebrow the best? Who does, you know what I mean? Who does these things the best? And all these things now are creating as if content creators now, the one who wins. Are you the best? And who says that? And what about your audience? What if they feel like you're the best makeup artist in the country, or they feel like you're the best automotive podcast in the country? What happens after the awards is what my big worry is about. And I hope it doesn't get to a point where us as content creators start treating each other with the attitude of I'm better than you, or you are beneath me, or this person doesn't deserve to be here. Because as long as you're making content in wherever it is, whether you're doing it in the studio, you're doing it with the camera phone, or you're using a professional camera, you get to dictate what it is that you want to do. And only your audience can tell you yay or nay, and nobody else around it. So as much as the content creators awards are still new and will hopefully grow to be more inclusive for everybody, I hope that in the meantime, what it doesn't create is like the need for us to win awards, the need for us to be acknowledged in that way, to validate us. Awards are great and they make everybody feel like a big up. You know, everybody loves a pat on the back and recognition, but the recognition again starts with your own audience, and that's where your energy should be focused at. The minute we start focusing on the Grammys, the Emmys, the what, the whom, I think we'll already start to lose a little bit of the value of who we're actually creating content for. So don't stop what you're doing. Don't let nobody distract you from your dreams. Keep creating, keep loving. Muchi, I'm out.
Hey, so this is the real views on the POPcast for today, and I checked out a couple of movies, some of the series that I did mention last week that are happening on Prime Video, and one movie that actually got my attention was Without Remorse, which is a movie featuring Michael B. Jordan, and of course that's the reason why I watched it. I mean, come on, but I did get myself involved a little bit with the movie, and it is a movie about a Navy SEAL whose family actually got killed, and there was a whole situation that he needed to kind of figure out why his family in particular. And it takes you down the journey why U.S. government usually gets involved in these certain things and the reasons behind it. So it kind of feels a little bit like a similar conversation that we had with the terminal list, but this is just a little bit of in a shorter form because it is in a movie. And I get the feeling sometimes when it's always with Navy SEALs, there's always the government that's trying to create a certain situation, or maybe even like taking out certain people because of their bigger issue. But it is an enjoyable movie to watch. I do think it's worth just your 2 hours if you have that for you to check out this movie. Michael B. Jordan's great, so the ladies, if you want to see him topless, this is the movie for you. But generally speaking, it is well put together. And yeah, man, go and check it out. It is out on Prime.